This is great.
Everybody link arms.
Link arms. Is that what we're doing?
I can't deal with that. It's too close.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, I can.
Okay, so I remember.
Let's listen.
I remember very early coming to this place, and Do'on was very excited. She had found an option for us. We were not happy where we were living. We could tell it wasn't going to work out for our family, so we came here, and I remember walking. I couldn't believe the grounds. Like, this was actually like a little, like, I was amazed that this existed. And we came through the park to see it, and then we came in and we just walked and we went. I was really voracious about wanting to walk the property. And so we walked all the way back. And I tell you, by the time I got to those backwoods, and I said, you mean I would own these woods? Like, I could actually own some woods. Are you kidding me? Like, wow, you know. And we went, and where there was a creek back there, and came around, and we didn't make it back to the horse barn. And I was like, I'll do whatever it takes. This is going to be great for us and for retreats. And we really, when we were engaged, we bought the Densho bell that we now use at the temple. And I could hear that bell ring on these grounds in my imaginative eye. And this was very early and very presumptuous of me, but it inspired us to buy the farm. I'm grateful I did, and I'm happy to give this to the next family. May they prosper here. And that one shitty thing, be gone.
Yes. So, everything Rinsen just said. Actually, I was looking for another property down the street, and I happened to drive by, and they had just put the for sale sign out. And I think it was the middle of winter. We were literally trudging around in the ice and the snow over all the grounds. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. The things that I have so many memories here. This farm has been the incubator for our Dharma practice, for our family. It's held us when Isabella got sick. She actually had 2 major illnesses here, and it just kept us so safe. And of course we had the horses here, and we had all of you here. And I remember once Myotai Sensei said, so what do you want to do exactly with a farm? And I said, well, I want to plant people. I want to grow Buddhas. So, yeah, we're growing Buddhas.
Nice.
We're growing Buddhas. And now we're going to grow Buddhas on another patch of land. And it's going to be amazing. And I have something I want to let go of. I will whisper it into, what's this creature's name?
It's just an effigy.
Oh,
it's just
okay.
an effigy.
I
don't know
whispered
its
to
name.
the effigy.
It's Alfie the effigy.
There you go.
Alfie! I whispered to Alfie.
So it's really hard to pick one thing, but really it's the moon. I feel that moon is always here. I used to see it in the morning when I came here in darkness, and sometimes morning and night, because you arrived in darkness, you left in darkness. And I remember one morning getting out of my car and seeing a shooting star come right across the sky. And you know, this place is magic, and it's magic that's everywhere, and that will be in the new temple too, everywhere. So let's create some more.
I was going to slip in for 20 minutes. So I'll slide in this. Oh, it's good right where it is. I kind of framed it. Okay. Hi. So I've been thinking a lot about this. I was one of the people who got to have a sense fairly early that there might be a possibility of being somewhere else. And so the process of letting go has kind of been ongoing. And so I've worked through a lot of the memories, particularly the rooms that we've had Dokusan in. The large room downstairs, which has also been the Zendo, the bedrooms, most places on the grounds, being marched out by Rinsen, up and down the driveway, because he wouldn't let me go out of Adoka-san at one point. But the memory that I have is the first time I drove out here. I've been thinking back and back, and I was struck by a very powerful sense that I'd be making that drive a lot. And there wasn't even sesshin then. I was coming because I needed a place to stay for an Aikido weekend. And there was just an awareness that I was on a path that I would drive many times in the future. And I thought a lot about that driving here today. Probably the last time. So that's my great memory. And for you,
Do you remember that?
1 minute of
That's a new record.
1 minute of Setro crying.
You want to throw that on?
Lying on the driveway, looking up lying on the driveway and just looking up at the pine. Seeing a single pine cone and crying my eyes out while laughing at the same time. Thank you, Farm.
Honestly, this is such a good memory to be right here, right now with all of you. Some of you I've known now for many years, different ways, and you start to look around and see some faces you've seen for a long time. And this is the fabric of my life, huge part of it, and to see us all together is always the best memory. And how necessary Sangha is and how important and special it is in our lives. I'm just very grateful for the generosity of our teachers and for honestly every single person in this circle, for all that everybody does to keep this whole thing going, even if it just means you're showing up, and that's more than enough. I'm just very grateful for this. Oh, sorry.
No, it's a whole part of it.
Very grateful for this memory.
I have been planted here. This place, I really do feel like there's been a serious nutrient exchange here for me over the course of my life. The memory that comes to mind most specifically is sitting during sesshin on the balcony out there and looking out over all of this and hearing the sounds of sesshin and at rest, and the thought arising that one day we're gonna remember when we did sesshin here. And like, wow, like is that ever gonna come to pass? Like, one day are we all gonna be like, oh yeah, that was back when we still did sesshin at the farm, and yes, it sure has. It's come for us, but it's just, I'm so excited. I'm so grateful for this place.
I remember sitting zazen at a cold February session in the Red Room, and Do'on was in the kitchen cooking this fantastic soup, and I remember thinking of her as my mama, And then all of a sudden I had to think, oh no, wait, I'm old enough to be her mama. So thank you, Do'on, and thank you everybody for being part of this Sangha.
I remember the first morning I came here, it was before we did sesshin orientation, so other than a lot of zazen, I didn't really know what I was about to be doing. And the schedule was different back then. The wake-up bell was at 6, so I walked up to the door at 6, and there was nobody moving, and I didn't hear a wake-up bell that I had been told to listen for. And the schedule started at 6:30. And so I sat down on the front step and just waited till 6:30, and still no sound, nothing had moved. I was starting to wonder if I had the right place, so finally I just swallowed. I got up, I knocked on the door, and 3 seconds then, I was the first person who had showed up for sesshin, and they didn't know I was going to be there. So Reverend Do'on opened the door, called back, somebody's here, somebody showed up. And she took me and she put out 2 zabutons in the garage, and we just sat down and started sitting, and there was sesshin. And I remember I after a moment I said, you know, my throat's really dry, could I have some water please? And she said yes, and she bowed, and she went and she got a pitcher of water and put it on a TV tray and put a glass there by like the stairway, so I had water. And then she had to go do some stuff, so she got up and left, and I was there alone sitting, but it was sesshin. There it was. And I remember later that day I had to go home, and I got home and I said to Zuise, who didn't know she was Zuise yet, I said, I want to go back tomorrow. Can I go back tomorrow? And she said yes, and I went back tomorrow, and you all still haven't gotten rid of me, so thank you.
I'm thinking of the tree. Is it a white pine? That's where I would go out to make the food offerings up and down in the various directions, and so I'll miss that tree. It's a nice tree. And I think there's something more than that, but it's not really for words. Just the magic that we've all created here. The snow-covered, like looking out, the roaring silence of this place during sesshin. I guess that's really the memory.
It's like all of the memories are coming at the same time, and it's like impossible to separate them. Just all one big memory. But thankfully, some of you have said and will say more of them. Snow. Arriving at a retreat in the autumn and everything's lush and green and still kind of feels like summer. I don't remember exactly which, there's one particular one, but I just don't remember which one it was. And then, you know, Saturday night, like 2 feet of snow, and we wake up in the morning and we thought it was silent before. Ooh. All that snow, and such a pain to wipe it off our cars, and also like shoveling it off the cars, and also so perfect. So much snow.
I remember when we showed up, kind of like Yugen said, wasn't any really training, and sit down for oryoki, and Yugen turns to me and goes, "Where's your bowls?" I go, "I don't know. Nobody told me anything." He pops up, goes gets bowls. Then I get up after oryoki, and I'm going, "Oh man, my leg's asleep. Oh wait, my other leg's asleep." And Yugen reaches over and just holds me up. The other Another big one was Jukai Friday night, sitting in front of Rinsen, getting my Roxu approved. My teeth started chattering. Yeah. The other thing that's coming to me is when a group of us first went to look at the new property, there was a big rainbow above it. So that we have the moon here, we had the rainbow there. I've spoken.
Well, I think what I remember the most is, I don't know if it was the first or second session I came to here, but it was January or February. It was very cold, very quiet, and it was very early in the morning. And I was sitting in the Zendo, and I heard a single bird calling from a tree really, really far away. And you could hear the bird call, you could also hear the reverberant echoes of the bird call bouncing off, 10,000 trees. And I was filled with this really strong and wonderful affirmation that everything was right as it should be, and that there was this completely seamless aspect of everything. And I had never experienced anything quite like that before. And so that was my big memory. And that's all I have.
I guess for me, my first memories with the session was actually remembering a group in Columbus that I sat with. They didn't have a teacher, and they're like, what you're doing is good. Don't stop doing it, but you need to find a teacher. And during that session, that really sunk in and understood the meaning of it at that point. And it's really great to have teachers up here that are still growing too, And then, sitting out here in the field with the moon reminds me of the sessions in the mornings. I've spoken.
I've had some really good memories at the Dharma camp here. I remember with a few of these guys, we had a water fight or something with like water guns and sponges. We had s'mores on a fire like this one, and I ate oryoki for the first time. And I'm so happy I can say farewell to this place and see it reborn in a new place to make memories with these same people.
So, the farm has been a very impactful place for me. I've learned a lot about myself and how to learn from others. A lot of very good memories.
I've not been here a lot, but I do have some really good memories of when I was actually here for Dharma camp. And it was, a lot of people were just going around working because it was the day of Dharma camp, I think. And me and Senkaku were in the bunks and we were just cleaning, and I was with Horyu's son. He was chilling on the bed, napping. And I was just so happy that I could help. Yay! That I was able to be a part of the temple and that my mom brought me here, so.
I've had a lot of good memories. I think my favorites were Dharma School with Jen and Kinko, because they just they helped us realize stuff that we didn't realize before, and they helped us learn new things. I also really like Dharma Camp, like playing with all the kids, eating s'mores, and like throwing sponges at them.
Also, Dharma Camp and just like last year when we had Dharma Camp, it was so different because like the pugs weren't here, we didn't have the big tent or anything, and it wasn't as big, but it was still really fun.
Speaking of Dharma Camp, last summer of last year, Bujo had emailed me about doing something for a Dharma Camp, like doing an egg drop, and I really took a long look at that. I just thought, oh, this seems involved. I don't know. But I did it, and it went really well. And as we were all sharing, I just thought about that, and I thought, man, I just feel so happy thinking about it.
Thank you. I think one of the things I always think of when I think of this place is a session that I was here, and it must have been fall because it wasn't snowy yet, but it was cold and it was foggy and it was dark and the stars were out, and I was probably somewhere right around about where we are now, and I looked up at night, and it was just this wonderful moment, like the sky and the clouds were turning into rain, which turned into snow, which turned into sleet, which turned back into something else, and in the little bit of light that was around it, it was like this silver sprinkles coming down, and I just felt so light. I just felt like I was really part of it. I mean, I just became part of that rain and that fog and that mist, and it was just, I couldn't move because I was just floating. It was just amazing. So it's a wonderful space, and I'm sure everybody has their memories of this space. So thank you.
So I didn't come to session until I'd been coming to the temple for about 15 months or so. It had been a long time. And when I first started coming to the temple, I definitely had my guard up for the first 6 months and was just like, if this place is a cult, I'm running the other direction the second I get any hint of that. And so it took me a really long time to decide to go all in. And then I came to session after I'd been practicing for 15 months, and it was the April session when it snowed. And the whole time it was just like this completely ordinary and completely ridiculously special experience. And some of that had to do with the farm itself and how beautiful it is here and how isolated and how you can see stars, like beyond stars, beyond stars, beyond stars. Session for Jukai when we're sitting outside and the sound of the crickets wakes up after you're already awake. All of those natural pieces. But the thing that really overwhelmed me tonight was continuing to see different people coming in and different cars coming in over the course of the afternoon, and people kind of coming and going, and it feeling very much like a homecoming. And even the people that aren't here right now, there's so many people in our Sangha that we all love so much, and those people are coming with us. And so that really hit me tonight, is that the number of memories that I had here that are really special, and the amount that I'm going to miss this place is one thing, but the amount of love that's in this circle and even beyond this circle that's coming with us feels really profound tonight. So I've spoken.
I was thinking about there's not a time I don't leave since I'm a commuter that I don't pause in the driveway and look up at the sky coming out. And so that's a view that I know that I'm going to miss. But obviously this is a beautiful place. But I was thinking about a couple summers ago,
And I was here at Sesshin, and my sister's car was broken. So she asked if she could come and take Soan's car so that she would have a car. I said, no problem. Get your daughter to drop you off, blah, blah, blah. We had it all coordinated. So I met her out in where the paddock up front where we park. And she looks at me and she says, you know, this is where we got Majestic. And I said, what? And she's like, yeah, that picture of us, it was like about 1972, 1974, I don't know exactly where. There's this cool picture of my sister beaming with our first horse and me kind of leaning in as a little kid. I'm going to dig it up, but it was taken on this property. And I ever since then, I feel like this weird like circle of connection. So anyway, I've spoken.
I think the most profound early memory is not so much the sights or the immersion in such a beautiful natural environment. It was sounds for me. The first time I stayed the night and heard the gata, the evening gata on the Han for the very first time, that's the most profound memory. And something just, I don't know how to explain it. It just felt so aligned, and I felt so comfortable. It's so hard for me to sleep in new places, but I don't know. It just, I felt so settled, and the wake up bell the following morning, and the way that those sounds travel, and I'm kind of excited, of course, to continue hearing those sounds, but the sound's very unique in each place, and it's a beautiful memory. And I want to thank all of you for it. It was so set up and such a beautiful system of sesshin when I came in, and it's been transforming. And I owe a lot to everyone who was here before and everyone who helps maintain it. And I just want to say thank you.
My memory is the day during Jukai session when I discovered that I had sowed my rice field on my raksu upside down and was just devastated. I couldn't believe it. It was like my reality altered as I stared at it. And then after that, I went up to get something to drink, and on the way back, I fell down. I fell down the stairs. And Fuzen, who wasn't Fuzen then, but came up to me and said, "You are having a bad day." And I just like cried like nobody's business. And then Kaijin, bless him, I'll never forget this. We were both sitting at the table, and he just so carefully clipped all my stitches around my rice field, just very gently. And I sat next to him like a bereft mother. I remember thinking, "Can my baby be saved?" And it was such a beautiful moment. He just reached in, turned it around, and gave it back to me, and I had to sew it up all over again. I was the last one done, and it was the best, worst day ever. The other thing is, again, like Shugen, when Rinsen was inspecting my raksu, and he looked at me and he said, "I see you." And I've been taller than most people all of my life. And until then, I don't think I ever really felt seen. And I just want to thank everybody for making me feel seen. Thank you.
Lot of memories here. They all seem sort of disjointed, but connected it in some way. Crows my relationship with crows from now on is totally different. From when the tent dough was up and we'd be out here in the morning and the first birds would start, but then the crows would come in. So now in my job, I like travel and there's crows over, hundreds of miles away from here, and it's the same darn crows. And that's one memory is the sound of the crows, the sound of a tree falling one morning. A tree actually fell. We were sitting, and crack, 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 bam! And the dogs start barking, and it's like, holy crap! Nobody ever hears a tree fall, unless it's stormy or something. Yep, right there. We heard it. And the sound of the awesome wind chimes are terrific. Another memory, and I don't know why, but it just struck me. I think it was the first session, and Rinsen comes in and walks past the altar. Whoops, I'm getting wrung out. And looks at his thumbnail, and for some reason that struck me as huge. But I've spoken.
I identify very much with what Zuise said about so many memories, but they're like all one big memory, like none more important than the other. But the fire reminds me of, I think it was a couple years ago, this class, 2017. I showed up for the last day of sesshin, and Soan was also there, and we were the only two who hadn't done Jukai, and I remember feeling a little left out, and but what I didn't know was that these people we were all waiting to be part of the same class with each other. So the following year was our year, and here are Soan and I, and at one point on Thursday, I think I looked up and we were the last two sewing. And I said, hey, stop. Wait, are you almost done? Okay, let's finish together. And so I waited, and then we did a countdown, and I know, they had to ring that mindfulness bell so many times, but we did it, and we finished together, and it was so awesome. But really, we were all helping. Shugen and Aka were running around like sewing everybody's everything else. Yeah, I feel so lucky to have been a part of this. I mean, we're all so lucky, and I'll cherish it forever. I have spoken.
First sesshin was really scary, but I thought I might still escape, so I wasn't taking it real serious. Second sesshin, I knew it was a really big deal because I got lost coming out here. I'd already been out here twice, but I was so nervous I got lost and got upset and finally got in here, and the pugs were barking, and the pugs were saying, "You're home, you're home." And that's when I knew I was home. I've spoken.
Okay, part of it fell off when my daughter was holding it, and now a part fell off when I was holding it. So that's cool. It's about to die. I can't the night before, I think it was Saturday night, the night before we actually had our Jukai ceremony, we were all gathered in the tent dough. And the ambiance was just unreal. You know, you could barely see each other's faces, but you could still pick out every person in your class. Reverends were set on both sides of the tent, one on each end. And I just remember every time someone was taken up in front of the reverend, they would have an exchange, and all of a sudden the bell would ring. And I cried every time that bell rang, because it meant that we were being, like what you said, we were being seen, and we were being heard, and we were being loved and acknowledged and accepted into this family. It was just just a beautiful, beautiful night, and it's kind of selfish, but I'm like a little bit honored that we were the last class that got to experience that in the tent dough, out in the environment, and just with the slugs outside and everything. And then no particular time in my mind, but seeing my daughter interact with, yes, adults, but also other Buddhist children who come on their own accord every Sunday or every other Sunday. Just being able to see her grow with these children has been really beautiful, and I'm really excited to be able to bring another child into this Sangha and watch all of you help shape who he's going to become. So, thank you.
Oh, wow. A lot has been said already. And of course I've thought of a million things to say, but I think the thing that I'm just most grateful for is this yard, like right here. I've spent a lot of time probably standing in this very spot just staring at Buddha. And I'm gonna miss Buddha in this yard. Because this yard's, I've slept on it, I've laid on it, I've been rained on in it, I've raked it, I've, walked on it a lot, and it's held me up in more ways than I could repay it for. So I'm immensely grateful just for this spot. This I don't know, couple acres right here, because it's helped me to be the Buddha I am.
My favorite memory is actually during your guys' Jukai class, this last one, when it was on the last day when we were all sharing about our names, but it was slightly beforehand when, to me at least, all of a sudden Risai had this random ice pack that really helped me out, and then just another one, and then another one, and I had no idea where they were coming from for a bit, and it was just really like, okay, cool, ice packs, but what? I mean, they were coming from the hell room, I think you said, but there's these ice packs, there's just a million ice packs. That was amazing. And it really helped with that heat. Yeah.
If You're Lucky, Your Heart Will Break is the title of a book I still haven't read. and yet those words pop into my head a lot in the course of my practice, so I should really get on with that. But I'm a person, I think about those words and I thought, that's not going to happen to me, at least not in public. I don't do things like that in public. And then, during Jukai, magic is real, and we weren't up sitting with everybody that often, but every period we did sit up there instead of be down there sewing. I swear it felt like threads were coming out of the back of my chest, and I thought, this is crazy tough. I checked myself for bugs more than once. And then I think it was the Saturday night of that session where we were sitting there, it was all done, we rejoined the rest of the Sangha up there, and it was just like that. My heart broke. And I cried in front of 20 people and sobbed through an entire period. And I told myself that would never happen. I didn't think I could do that, but I'm really grateful that the farm gave me that experience, and I'll always have that. I have spoken. So for me, one of the best memories that I have is the night that I wandered into the temple. And it was a night, Bujo and I were actually talking about this the other day, that everybody was reading out loud from a green book. And I was like, I don't know these words. So by the time it gets to my turn, I read out loud. I come across this word that starts with B. I'm like, Bodhi, in my head. And so all of a sudden I freeze, and it's silent. And Dawn goes, Bodhisattva? I'm like, oh. I'm like, Bodhisattva. Okay, I can do this. So it comes up again, and I say, Bodhisattva. And I'm like, I said it right. Nobody said anything. Yes. It started for me what now has transitioned into taking Jukai and coming back. And I felt at home. And I felt that the entire family of our Sangha was just absolutely amazing. And then it started with the sessions. And I'm sitting between Gokyo and Bujo, and everybody's eating out of these bowls. And of course I'm going, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. I have spoken.
My first time at the farm was only in May, when we had to come for a session before we could do Jukai, and it was wonderful. I don't know if it was foresight or just serendipitous. I was in my chair facing the window, and the window was open, and I had a gentle breeze on me, and I got to hear the birds singing throughout the day, and I had never experienced so much calm and peacefulness and love. It was amazing. And then my most recent session, I'm forever to be known as the person who broke Moo in the bathroom. I swear it flew off the wall and hit me in the head and landed on the floor. I didn't touch it. So, yeah, I have spoken.
So, I don't know why I do this, but every time I come to sesshin, I sign up to sleep in a bunk, which is funny because I like over here, I can't, I have such trouble relaxing in a new space and falling asleep. So this past Jukai, I think it was like the third day, and I hadn't slept in 3 days. So, but I remember that they had taken the sofa, and they put it right over there, and it had just finished raining. It was 11:30 because I even checked my watch because I was doing oh god, I've got 5 hours left, 4 hours left. Grabbed my pillow, grabbed a blanket, went outside in the rain, and just started sleep. Just laid down under there, and as soon as I lay down, the rain stopped, and the cloud opened up, and the moon came out, and it was absolutely gorgeous, and I felt like I had the entire world just to myself. And then the night insects started back up and the night bugs started. And then I was, no, I'm absolutely not alone. But then I relaxed and I fell asleep. And that's hard for me to do in a new spot. But obviously this is not a new spot anymore. I mean, down there is no way I'm sleeping over there. This is beautiful here. I'm going to miss it. I've spoken.
Today is my first day at this farm and my last. Sounds like a lot of great memories have been had here, and not gonna lie, I'm kind of jealous. But I'm not mortified though, because wherever you go, there you are. That's what my mom always says. Wherever you go, there you are. So this Sangha is going to continue to have memories, good memories, no matter what. I've spoken.
Hi, I just moved to Toledo in August. So this is my first time on the farm too. And I met Kinko the first time I was at the temple. And so we became very good friends now. And I also found some common interests between us. And we both like drumming and African dance. Yeah, so there's, yeah. And also today I just shared with her that I believe in God as well, but I was hesitant to tell people that because, people can judge me, as unfaithful. So, but to my surprise, she is quite understanding. So I really appreciate her open-mindedness and, what's the word, tolerance.
Same as you over there. This is also my first time and the last time on the farm. And again, lots of beautiful memories out here. But I think a slightly more useful thing for me to say specifically, since this is my first time, is thank you for making my first time so memorable. All of you, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I've only been to the temple twice, and I really honestly believe that this is the place that I was meant to be, and I am so glad to have found all of you and to have found this community in Toledo. Thank you.
This is also my one and only memory here. But what a beautiful way to say goodbye to such a beautiful place through our kinship and friendship and so many memories. I think sacred space is often thought of as something extraordinary, but in reality it's in our own backyards, in our own homes, in our own hearts. So I hope that with the new family moving in, that this farm brings just as much peace and understanding and love as it has brought to all of you. Thank you. So, awakened awareness. All the difficult times and the troubles that were whispered to this effigy be fully and thoroughly let go of. May it be so.